What if everything you thought about freedom was wrong? We are often sold a beautiful, glittering picture of liberty, the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want. A life without limits, without obstacles, without resistance. The dream of complete self-indulgence. But the reality is far more complex and far more demanding. True freedom is not given. It is not a gift bestowed by governments, nor a permanent entitlement secured by laws. Freedom is earned, and more importantly, it is only maintained through profound, often painful sacrifices. The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned us against illusions of easy liberty. He insisted that freedom was never comfort, never safety, never ease. Freedom is a responsibility, one that demands suffering, discipline, and sacrifice. If you want to live free, you must be prepared to pay the cost. And that cost is higher than most people are willing to admit. In this exploration, we will uncover the illusions of easy liberty, the price of breaking chains, the sacrifice of identity and comfort, and the power of deliberate choice. We will end with a challenge, one that may alter the way you live your life. This is the uncomfortable truth. True freedom is non-negotiable, and sacrifice is its currency. In our modern world, we are surrounded by illusions of freedom. Consider subscription services. They promise instant access to music, films, games, and books. With a click, we can indulge any craving. It feels liberating, doesn't it? And yet, behind the convenience lies a subtle dependency. We no longer own anything. Our libraries, our entertainment, even our ability to focus are rented. At the first cancellation or algorithmic change, our supposed liberty vanishes. Or think about social media. Platforms give us endless avenues to express ourselves. We can post, share, comment, and create. Yet the price we pay is invisible. Our attention, our emotions, our self-worth. Validation becomes our leash, and the opinions of strangers become the chains that quietly bind us. Even the marketplace, a dazzling theater of choices. We feel empowered because we can pick between 50 brands of toothpaste, 100 styles of shoes, or 1,000 streaming shows. But these are not real choices. They are pre-packaged illusions of control, carefully designed to keep us consuming, distracted, and pacified. Nietzsche would scoff at this. He warned against the comfort of the herd, the safety of conformity, and the seductive ease of paths already paved. He believed that true freedom begins when we recognize that most of what passes for liberty is a golden cage, attractive on the outside, imprisoning on the inside. The modern myth of liberty is instant gratification. We equate freedom with indulgence, with comfort, with the absence of struggle. But indulgence enslaves us to our appetites. Comfort dulls our edge, and avoidance of struggle robs us of growth. What we call liberty often becomes dependency in disguise. The first step toward freedom is recognizing this illusion. The second is daring to shatter it, even when it hurts. Every chain that has ever been broken came at a cost. History is filled with individuals and movements who sacrificed enormously for freedom. Civil rights leaders endured imprisonment, surveillance, and assassination. Revolutionaries gave up stable lives, wealth, and safety. Whistleblowers lost careers, reputations, and sometimes their lives in the pursuit of truth. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., who understood that true freedom for Black Americans in the United States would require sacrifice, not only from himself, but from entire communities. He lived with constant threats, endured jail, and ultimately paid with his life. Yet his sacrifice opened a pathway for others. Or think of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison. For him, freedom was not free. It demanded nearly 30 years of confinement, isolation, and suffering. Yet when he emerged, he embodied the truth that liberty requires patience and endurance. Even in less dramatic cases, the cost of freedom is evident. The dissident writer who speaks out against an oppressive regime risks exile, censorship, or worse. The activist who challenges corruption often faces social scorn, legal battles, and financial ruin. Nietzsche would remind us that freedom is not about avoiding these costs, it is about choosing them. He argued that to affirm life, to stand authentically, is to embrace the burden of suffering. The last man, Nietzsche's figure of comfort and safety and mediocrity, avoids sacrifice and therefore lives enslaved. The free spirit, by the contrary, accepts sacrifice as the price of greatness. Let us be clear, there is no true freedom without loss. To break chains is to give something up: stability, security, approval, or comfort. The question is not whether sacrifice will come. The question is whether you are willing to pay it. The most profound sacrifices are not material, but personal. We all carry identities, beliefs, and habits that tether us to the familiar. They feel safe, but often they are cages disguised as homes. True freedom requires us to shed these skins. Nietzsche spoke of the process of self-overcoming. To be free, one must continually become more than they are, and this means sacrificing the versions of ourselves that no longer serve us. It might mean abandoning a career path that feels secure but suffocating. It might mean leaving behind communities that no longer align with your values. It might mean letting go of inherited beliefs that once defined you but now keep you small. This is never easy. Our identities are comfortable. They shield us from uncertainty. But to cling to them is to remain enslaved to yesterday's self. Freedom also demands confronting fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of standing alone. These fears are chains. To be free, you must step into the unknown, even when your heart pounds and your hands shake. Growth is always uncomfortable. Muscles ache before they strengthen. Minds resist before they expand. Souls tremble before they awaken. Nietzsche reminds us that suffering is not an obstacle to freedom, it is its crucible. Through suffering, we burn away illusions and emerge stronger. To sacrifice comfort is to embrace life as it truly is, raw, uncertain, and open to transformation. There is a crucial difference between forced sacrifice and chosen sacrifice. When sacrifice is forced upon us by poverty, oppression, or circumstance, it feels like bondage. But when sacrifice is chosen deliberately, it becomes the path to liberation. Nietzsche's philosophy of freedom is not about escaping difficulty, but about choosing it consciously. To renounce comfort, to discipline oneself, to embrace struggle willingly, this is the essence of strength. Think of the artist who sacrifices stability for the pursuit of creation, the entrepreneur who gives up security for the chance to build something new, the individual who practices discipline, training their body and mind not because they must, but because they choose to. This is not masochism, it is power. Because in choosing sacrifice, you reclaim control. You demonstrate that you are not a slave to circumstance, but a master of it. Short-term discomfort becomes the seed of long-term autonomy. The runner suffers through training, but earns the strength to endure. The thinker endures solitude, but gains clarity. The rebel faces persecution, but wins a measure of truth. As Nietzsche put it, He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. When sacrifice is tied to purpose, it ceases to feel like loss. It becomes an investment in freedom. Here is the truth. Freedom is uncomfortable. It will isolate you. It will strip away illusions. It will demand sacrifices of identity, comfort, and security. And yet, what is the alternative? To refuse sacrifice is to live safely within the herd, lulled by comfort, pacified by indulgence, trapped in golden cages. You may feel secure, but you will not be free. Nietzsche challenges us to embrace the discomfort, to look our fears in the eye, to recognize that the price of liberty is high, and yet the reward is immeasurable. So I challenge you now. Look at your own life. Identify one area where comfort is hindering your freedom. It may be a habit, a belief, a dependency, or a relationship. And then commit to one small, uncomfortable sacrifice today. Because freedom is not built in grand gestures alone. It is forged in daily acts of courage, in the willingness to give up what is easy for what is meaningful. The ultimate reward is not comfort. It is not indulgence. It is not ease. The ultimate reward is a life truly lived on your own terms, built on conscious choices, hardened through sacrifice, and crowned by the strength of authenticity. If this exploration challenged you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, discuss it, and live it. And if you want to keep diving into the difficult truths of philosophy, the kind that unsettles, provokes, and awakens, then subscribe to this channel, Echoes of Reason. Because here, we don't settle for easy answers. We confront reality as it is, and in doing so, we take one step closer to true freedom.